So, Geats is eliminated from the game. I guess Kamen Rider Geats is now over. The show ended before it even began. That's freaking crazy. A 14 episode run, that's really short. Dang. Well, I guess we'll find out what the next season of Kamen Rider will be next week. But jokes aside, Kamen Rider Geats episode 14. This was the, plot info dump episode where a bunch of mysteries are being set up that are probably going to get answered later down the line in the show. Like I said, we saw the elimination of Ace from the game. We saw the debut of Kamen Rider Glare, which is an awesome freaking suit. And we got to see Tycoon using the freaking cannon jet mode, which looked freaking awesome. But yeah, the elimination of Ace, I did not see that coming. I thought Ace would stick around a lot longer. And I do like how they sort of jerk you around throughout the episode because it's freaking Punk Jack being sort of dicked over by the Game Master, and they're saying, hey, you're not following what we want us to do, you won't get your memories back. So seeing how Punk Jack was trying to be a hero and stuff like that, I thought he would get eliminated and he would save Ace in the end, but no, that's not the case. And Ace could have survived this round, but the timing was just terrible with what happened, where Glare somehow took over Punk Jack and hacked him, and then he got assaulted by the dude and dropped the driver, and at the same time you had Tycoon blowing up the bad guy, which was totally out of everyone's control because the fight was going on in two different areas, so no one could scream, no, stop! So we didn't see any of that. But one of the big takeaways in this episode is we find out that Punk Jack's grandfather, Win, he was the chairman of a famous company that invested into the Grand Desire Prix, or the game. But one of the other big twists we find out in this episode, we find out that Neon's bodyguards, John and Ben, were once riders that participated in the game because they find some ID cores and they get their memories back and they're like, hey, we once got involved in this game. But not only that, the Karama Foundation was also a sponsor for the game. So we find out that all these multi-millionaire dollar companies are sponsors of the game. But seeing how Punk Jack doesn't have his memories, or have all of his memories, some of them aren't all there, from what I can gather from what that conversation between him and the Game Master was, it seems like that he'll get all of his memories back once he does what they say. So I do wonder if he could be related to Neon or could not be related to Neon, but there's parts of his past missing, and we'll find out what they are later down the line. But it looks like that all these $1 million companies are getting involved, or trillion-billion-dollar companies are getting involved with the game. They sponsor it. And we kind of get a glimpse of that from last week's episode where we saw the producers, I believe they were sort of watching from afar, and they're the one that gave Geats the power-up, the jet cannon mode. So there's some kind of rich hierarchy involved with this game, which is nuts. But we also find out that Geats kind of wants to find out why he can't speak to his mother again. We find out that her name was Mitsumi, I believe. I believe that's their name, which is really interesting because that's also the name of a fox, I believe, from my knowledge of Monster Hunter. So interesting name they've got going on there. But I did like the banter between Geats and Punk Jack, where they sort of reconcile and they learn to work together in the end, and they almost succeed if it wasn't for that meddling Kamen Rider Glare, which I gotta talk about that suit. That suit looks freaking fire. I talked about it when the scans came out a while ago, but now seeing the suit in action, I think it looks really freaking cool. But Geats getting eliminated. But they did hint at it, like midway through the episode, you have Neon and Keiwa having this discussion where they say they rely too heavily on Ace or on Geats because the dude's the MVP and he usually gets them out of a sticky situation. And they're like, oh, what are we going to do? We can't have him on our team. We can't keep fighting because last game we got our asses kicked. So what are we going to do then? And then Kayla says, hey, we didn't choose to be a part of this. We're sort of being thrown into something that we've got no experience in. We're being fighters with no experience. And then that's sort of leading up to the whole Neon and her bodyguard reveal in the episode. But we do see the boss in this episode, where the boss is just really cool with their powers, and it sort of makes people hallucinate and start attacking each other, which they didn't get points deducted during that fight, but I guess it wasn't a points-based game. It was sort of the musical chairs game, and that didn't really matter. Now, there was also another creepy scene where Keiwa is fighting one of the Jamato, and one of the Jamato quotes something from the penguin guy. I believe, like back in episode 2, the guy that he met way back in the start of the show, and he quotes exactly what he says, where he says, I just want to win. I can't remember what he says, but he said something similar that Keiwa remembers, and they flash back to that guy, and Keiwa's like, wow, maybe I'm hearing something, but that sounded familiar. But then after that, it makes it even creepier, because we cut back to the gardener, and he's feeding one of the Jamato, and it's starting to talk, and he calls it Rook, so he gives it a name, which is even creepier. But I believe someone in my comment section had a theory saying, oh, what if, like, the Jamato are sort of, like, possessing, like, because they're cracked ID cores. I think this is what they said. I think they said, because it's cracked ID cores that the Jamato are being fed, what if they're like the memories, or somehow they're like the sort of like the other players forced to fight again, and they're getting thrown into the game again, but the Jamato. I don't know if that's what they quoted or they commented directly, but they said something vaguely familiar. So yeah, Kamen Rider Geats episode 14. I have no idea where this show is going. We lost our main character, but no doubt about it, they'll be back later. I'm guessing when Geats returns, it will be like in the new year. That's when they'll make their grand return. But also, if you looked at the next episode preview, it looks like Buffer's going to take some heavy hits, so we could be losing Buffer as well, which is concerning. So we're losing all the long-lasting players in the game with this brand new threat. So it's crazy to think what is going to happen moving forward, but not only that, Kamen Rider Glare is lurking in the background, and they're a big threat. So these past couple of episodes has been crazy, and Geats just keeps getting crazier and crazier, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. But anyway guys, what did you think of Kamen Rider Geats episode 14? Love it? Hate it? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. With that said, I think I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, take care, bye. Thank you.